Well, the defence organisations are working hard on what they talk about as global change issues. So they see climate change, the virtual space and culture as being three areas for ongoing work. And climate change is a major component of that. So the sort of work I've been doing with them involves thinking about more extreme and more frequent weather events, health consequences, food security and energy security. And of course they've all got meaning for the Defence Organisation in terms of our planning and our preparedness. So yeah, we're taking it pretty seriously. As I think the reports point out, if we can keep the climate average temperature under an additional 2 degrees C, we've got some hope of managing climate change issues. If on the other hand we let it go, then I'm afraid it looks pretty awful. I was at a conference in London 18 months ago and it was on climate change and energy security. There were over 30 military people there and we sort of looked at each other from all sorts of countries, Bangladesh, India, Malaysia, the United States, Europe, ourselves, the UK. But somebody said, why are all these military people here? And we looked at each other and our answer was because, you know, we're the guys who sweep up after everything goes wrong. And we need to know what's going to go wrong, so that's why we're here. And I'm now a member of a thing called the Global Military Advisors on Climate Change Community. So yeah, we're taking it pretty seriously. Well, I think it means that we're going to be used more often in scenarios like the Queensland flood and the Victorian bushfires and things like that. I mean, very clearly the Defence Organisation becomes an immediate responder when a disaster like that occurs in the Australian community. So we just see ourselves being used more and more in those sorts of circumstances. Now what we're trying to work out is, you know, to go to what will the disasters really look like? I mean, to me there's a difference between, say, a bushfire and a firestorm. And we've now seen on several occasions, Canberra 2003, Victoria more recently, a bushfire turn into a firestorm. It's a totally different beast to deal with. And, you know, we're concerned about how Defence might be able to respond in those circumstances, what sort of community support will be needed, what sort of resources need to be applied to provide immediate first aid. Page 87 of this report makes very compelling reading. I don't care too much for the executive summary, but when you get to page 87, it talks about the carbon budget. It talks about how we've really been tracking very badly since the early predictions of the 1990s. And if we go on this way, we can forget 2 degrees C. Isn't it interesting that in May we passed 400 parts per million CO2 in the atmosphere? And have I read much about it? No, I haven't. Now, if I take Martin Rees seriously in his book called The Final Hour, a 1 in 2 chance, no human beings on this planet in 2100, I get really worried. So if this report says anything to me, it's a call for action. Not action just by national leaders, not action just by business leaders, not action by community leaders, action by all of us. We have to pull together if we're going to solve this problem.